us only stayed a month because they heard my fiance, where he used to sit all the time in the corner with the kids eating cereal.
Really? And
that's all they would hear.
After you guys couldn't deal, and they rolled out, huh?
Yep. And then people, after they moved out, the neighbors kept hearing a hammer drop because he worked on houses and stuff. They kept hearing a hammer drop. So I went there one time and I heard it before I went in the house. And when I went in the house, I just said, Nate, are you here? Come with me. You don't need to stay here. Leave this house and just be in peace or go to heaven. You know, that's what I said. And I felt like I've been protected. I've been protected a lot lately. And then one of your lives, you said I had healing. You know, I've been healing other people. And I told you I went through cancer. I'm beating cancer. They said I'm like, this next test is just to show it's like literally almost gone.
Great job.
It's the third time.
I'm so happy to hear that. Yeah. Congratulations.
And then a lot of other stuff happened to me. I told you my brother robbed us of our inheritance. That we all worked in a family business, so it's literally stuff that we worked for, but it was under my dad's trust. They said she'd never make it, and I prayed to God to heal her. And hospice asked me to let her go 3 times. I said no, and she made it. And they can't even believe she's walking around and she's remembering.
It's amazing.
So I know that I'm here to. I'm gonna be here to watch my kids, get older, have more kids. My son has a 2.5-year-old. My grandson, every time I'm around him, I feel like I get energized. Like he's my energy. Like I don't feel weak and tired like I do when I'm on chemo. I'm on chemo, but when I'm around him, I think he makes me stronger. They call me Wonder Woman. So
nice. That's so awesome.
I used to be called the Terminator and Stingray Jordan when I boxed, but now I'm called Wonder Woman. They even got my Wi-Fi set up as Wonder Woman.
That's so cool. That's so awesome.
Yeah. But I know our family is protecting us. My brother just did that to me and tried to do something in court, and the judge caught on. He left there saying a whole bunch of stuff and almost got perjury and contempt charges.
Oh my goodness. All right, we're not going to talk too much about that stuff.
Yeah,
but I do appreciate the interesting, scary story that you had there, Joanne. I like that.
God is protecting us, and so is our family.
Very nice.
I know that very much from a lot of things that have happened. Like, I feel protected.
Great. That's so awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that. Susie Bell, thank you.
God bless you.
All right, Joanne, thank you so much for being on with us. I appreciate you. You have a great night, okay?
You too. God bless everybody.
You too. We'll see you later.
All right. Thank you for your help and everybody.
You're welcome. Thanks for being here with us. I appreciate you.
You've helped me a lot. I've had a couple family come through. You've been a blessing just to know.
I'm so happy to hear that. Thank you. Thank you. I hope you have a great rest of your day. Hi, everybody. Welcome in. Nice to see you there. That was Joanne. Thank you so much for being with us. That was really sweet. I know Kristen has a ton of amazing stories to tell us. I'll let her tell one in a little bit. We're going to let some people who haven't been on before tell me a little scary story. Let's see. Living my dream. Remember, when you come on, just do me a favor. Be brief. Tell me a little bit about your scary story and let me hear it. All right. Come on in. Moderators, just so you know, any moderators watching, you actually have the ability to help me out with the multi-guest, which I learned tonight. So check through your stuff down here. Anna Peralta Homes, don't worry, we got you. I'll send you subscriptions. You don't have to worry about going anywhere. We got you. Okay? All right. Looks like they're not going to come through. We got the next one in. If you see the little thing come up on your screen that says you've been accepted, just come on, say hello. You don't have to turn on your camera if you don't have to. You've got mad trust today, Scotty. I trust all of you have been here long enough to know that what we do here. Yeah, of course, Anna. So, Diane, what's up? How are you?
Good. Can you hear me?
I sure can. Welcome on.
I wanted to tell you about my daughter. When she was younger, we'd be watching like Hannah Montana or stuff like that. And she would say, Mom, there's a guy on the TV behind her. He says, wrapping up cords and stuff. She said, and I would say, Morgan, there's nobody else there. And she'd say, Mom, I know he's not supposed to be there, and he doesn't know that there's a show going on, but he is working behind them, and nobody seems to notice.
Whoa.
And she used to tell me that a lot. And like if we'd go to restaurants or something, and she'd say, there's a lady sitting with that couple, and nobody knows that she's there.
Oh, wow. So she was seeing people's loved ones with them, huh?
She was, and it was scary, kinda. She remembers telling me about it, but she said she doesn't see it anymore.
Yeah,
But
a
she
lot
did
of times.
it a lot when she was a kid.
Yeah, kids will grow out of it. But that's really cool, and I'm happy that you didn't be like, you shouldn't be seeing that. Don't do that. It's really good to be able to know that there's that connection and that your child just grew up and out of it, which is completely normal, and that's the sort of thing that happens. Did you ever have anything spooky happen in the house because she could see the spirits?
No, she never said anything about our house. She did tell me that in my parents' house, my mom, she didn't know that her grandmother smoked, but my mom used to hide in the bathroom, and she said she didn't really know my mom because she died when she was like 3 years old. And when Morgan was like 9, she goes, Mom, there's an old lady that keeps pushing around a tank behind her and going into the bathroom, and I think she's doing something bad. And my mother used to sneak cigarettes in the bathroom on oxygen.
Oh my goodness, that is so crazy.
It was weird. And another lady, when we rented my mother's house, she said, I keep seeing an old lady walking into the bathroom. I think she's smoking.
That's so funny.
It was weird.
How about that? So mom was still hanging around smoking her cigarettes, and your daughter got to see her and the people after, huh? That's pretty amazing.
Yeah. I love your show.
Thank you so much. Thanks for being a part of it. Thanks for being here with us. I appreciate it very, very much.
Thank you. Have a good night.
You too. Thanks for sharing. See, your loved ones all are out and hanging around and chilling out with us and doing their thing even in the afterlife. Isn't that pretty amazing? Yeah, we're sharing some scary stories tonight there, Therese. Nice to have you here. Let's see.
Scotty, where did you get that shirt? You're looking kind of snazzy in that skeleton shirt there, sir.
Girl, I got more just like it coming. I got it from Amazon of all places.
What?
I was like, I need to start dressing more the part of what I'm doing. I always am just like in black t-shirts. I was like, I still wear black. I got some orange and baddies and pumpkins, all kinds of stuff coming. So you guys all inspired me, by the way. After you were like, oh, you look good in printed shirts, like the Hawaiian shirt over the summer. I was like, well, maybe I can get more. I like button-down shirts. So maybe we can do more of that. By the way, Sarah, thank you so much for sending out 5 subscriptions. Toddy B, thank you so much for sending out 5 subscriptions. Spirit Sponge, I saw that after the live yesterday wrapped up. I don't know how I missed it, but you sent out 5 subscriptions. So thank you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
I was worried that they didn't go through.
Yeah, after I got a notification that you sent them, and I was like, I didn't see them, which is strange, but they came through. So thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, she said, listen, this is for anybody who's watching, if you're new here, what's up? Nice to see you there. I'm Scott. I'm a medium and a psychic. I do spirit-led mediumship readings here on TikTok. They are free. Normally today on a Thursday, we'd be doing spirit-led mediumship readings for our subscribership base. I had a very long day and my brain is basically a baked potato at this point, but I still want to come live and see all of your beautiful faces. And TikTok has really been encouraging us to use the multi-guest feature. So with that, I said, I've been doing this a lot, entertaining you for over 2 years live in front of my camera here at my desk. And it's really nice to have the live interaction and have you all come on and say hello. So Lady Ray says, I love baked potatoes. Well, when my brain falls out later today, I'll give it to you. It'll be delicious. Do you like it with chives and sour cream or just cheese? Thanks, Pam Adams. So Yeah,
I had 4-cheese mashed potatoes the other night for dinner.
delicious, by the way. So let's see who else we got here. Some folks that haven't been on before. We have Sam. Sam has always been somebody who's around. I always see her because she has this really bright avatar. Hi, Sam.
Hi. I have to be fast because my daughter and husband are coming back from the walk-in clinic. They tested positive for strep, and it's really weird. No sore throat or fever, just throwing up.
Oh my
So
goodness. That is sad. I hope they get better.
So, I kind of wanted to tell. It's not really scary. It's just bizarre.
I like bizarre too. Go ahead.
So I've always had like a weird connection with people who have passed on. And it started when I was like 3 years old. My family they were looking at houses to buy. And I remember we toured 2 houses in one day. I have no clue what the first house was like, but I remember walking into the second house and telling my parents, like, this is where I want to live. Like, absolutely, this is where I want to live. Like, I already told them that's my room. And it ended up becoming my room. But we bought the house. And then when we moved in there, I started sleepwalking. I would always walk out the back door. And we lived in like a suburb of Milwaukee. So pretty busy area. So my parents had to put a deadbolt on the door above where I could reach it because I would just walk right out the door. And then I started having, like, I'd wake up disoriented, not really knowing where I was often. And then I started waking up, and first time I thought it was my mom walking into my room, but it was a lady all dressed in white. And I was like, I looked over, and then I knew immediately, because I was cold, that it was not my mom. And I turned, rolled over, and shut my eyes really tight. But I used to see really weird stuff too, falling from the ceiling all of the time. And I have no idea what that is. Like, it's always baffled my mind, but it was like crabs or little things falling from the ceiling.
Okay. I'm going to say you wanted to talk. I said in the title, it's called like Scare Me. So I got the goosebumps going. You're getting this close. When people ask me if there's other things besides the dead out there on the other side, there are. And some of the things that I see, I tend to be like a child and be like, I don't want to see that, because it's pretty terrifying, some of the stuff that's built into the layers of where we exist.
It's so weird. So I would go sleep with my parents and it would follow me. So the same thing would happen. And then I found out later, after we moved out of the house, and the sleepwalking stopped, that before we moved in there was an old lady who lived there, and she had passed away right before we moved in. The reason why the house was for sale was it was hers, and they sold it. Then when I was 7 years old, my grandfather had cancer, and I would have recurring dreams that I was the doctor. He was on the operating table, and he passed away. Like flatlined, like the machine happened. And then I got it the same day he passed away. Again, and I would wake up every time, throw up in my hands. So strange. And then they're back. The other thing was, same grandfather, fast forward a few years, my mom was like, you've always had a weird connection. And I saw blue orbs start showing up, and then I went, and it was gone. Like, because I doubted myself. And then the last time I had a connection was when my grandmother passed away in April, when she came through. My family was like, I don't know how you just knew exactly what to say to comfort her. But one of the things I told her, I said, go tell Grandpa to go talk to Scotty. And I said that, like, my family looked at me like, who's Scotty? And I was like, I'll tell you about it later. Just, we're talking. And then 4 days later, she came herself to talk to you. And that's why I was like, oh my goodness. But yeah, those are all my weird stories.
How cool is that? Thank you very much for sharing. I'm going to probably make a TikTok based on what you said about the things on the ceiling. It is getting into Halloween season. I don't like to scare people with some of the things that I think I know about. But since you brought it up, I think I'll say it. Okay. So we'll talk about some of those in-between places that have weird things.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks
Have
for
a
coming
great
on.
night.
We appreciate you.
Bye. What you doing?
Spirit sponge, ever hear of that stuff?
It's funny. It's funny that she mentioned that, because that's like last night you were talking about astral projection and everything, and that's what I used to see in my bedroom at night. But it would be like confetti, but it would be like the static, like if a channel wasn't on the channel but it was just like in between channels, so it was just like that gray and black static, but it would just be like static pieces falling from the ceiling and then shifting and changing which direction it was falling in and where it was falling from. But that's literally what I would focus on every night before I would go to sleep as a child, and then wake up to me like looking at myself in bed asleep and kind of just like bouncing around my room trying to like catch these like little static pieces.
That's wild. Yeah, I've never heard of that, but it's very similar, isn't it? It's interesting. There are definitely things that exist in between the realms, and if we let ourselves go into those spaces, we will find very interesting things. A lot of times it's very much just colors and shapes, and there's really not much that exists there. But when you let it kind of push into our space, you can perceive them much differently. It's like looking through a piece of glass or something that's tinted. It could change and alter the way that things look. And then when you move them, you can actually see what they are. It's pretty interesting. Danny, what's up?
Hey, hi.
How you doing?
Fine as frog's hair. How about you?
Mine's frog's hair. I like it.
Okay, I don't know why, but I can't hear you very well.
I'm whispering, kind of.
Oh, stop doing that. I'm old.
All right. I'll speak louder. What's
Okay.
up? What's your scary story?
All right. So do you want scary or do you want, wow, that was amazing.
Scare me.
Dare you? Okay. All right. Scary. I tried explaining this once before to you. So I'm driving home from Vegas. We take the back roads home. I don't know what highway it was, but it's where that big thermometer is. The back way heading to California.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, I'm the first car at the railroad track. And the arms come down and, ding, 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 ding. And all of a sudden, I see the train coming, and the lights on the train are going in circles, not back and forth. They're going in circles. And as it's getting closer to me, I totally freak out. I couldn't figure out how to get out of the car, or actually where I was at, how to get out of the car. My passenger is freaking out. I was in a cold sweat, and as the train hits, I guess I started screaming and trying to escape the car, and I couldn't. And the only thing I can think of is I was a slave or something and trying to get away. And the spotlight was trying to find me. But the passenger got out of the car, walked around to my side because I was driving. He opened up the door, got me out of the car, and it took the people behind us to get me calmed down. For some reason, I just totally, utterly freaked out.
Yeah, it sounds like you might have had some past life regression kind of happen really quickly.
That's what I'm wondering. It scared the bejesus out of me, and
I imagine
whittled my pants.
I imagine driving in the dark after being so like basically like this is, if anybody's never been to Vegas, it's kind of like my room when it's all lit up. There's lights and sounds, and it's overwhelming, but fun if you have ADHD. So you go from this really highly stimulated state where you're having fun, you maybe gambled a little bit, you had a good time, there's all these lights and sounds and people, right? And then when you leave Vegas, if anybody's never done this part, it becomes very dark and tranquil, and there's not much out in the desert between one town and the next. It's literally nothing. Right?
Nothing.
So you let your brain kind of wander into a meditative state. We're driving down a dark highway. We come up to a railroad, a literal crossroads right across the road.
Yep.
And all of a sudden, a stimulation starts happening. But this time, it's a stimulation that sort of just triggers a soul memory, and it brings up this maybe traumatic past life memory that you have. So the fact
it scared me so bad, and scared my passenger so bad. And the people behind us, they saw the commotion inside the car. I was literally trying to bust out of the car, and I didn't know how.
that's wild.
Okay, so that's my scary one. And thank you for letting me share.
I'm happy that you did. That was really cool.
Okay.
I was waiting for her to say I was abducted by aliens just because, it's that.
I wish.
Thank
Thank you so much for sharing that, Danny. I appreciate you.
Thank you. I appreciate you too.
Thank you. Have a great night. Thanks for being here with us.
Thank you.
We'll talk again soon. Oh, you know what I forgot to tell everybody? I was waving this around and it reminded me. Dawn from Pure Energy Apothecary told me that we can give some of these away if anybody was interested in. These are selenite charging bars. You can put your crystal bracelets on there. You can put your crystals on there. You can use this to cleanse your space. So if you fill up the donut meter tonight, we'll give out some of these bad boys. They're really, they're like so smooth. I keep this one here and I pet it because it's so smooth. It's like glass, so nice. You see all my dirty fingerprints on this one. But if you'd like one like this, you can fill up the donut meter as usual, and that's what we're handing out as prizes tonight, okay? Hey, Judy Markle, nice to see you there. Welcome in. Sorry I covered you up there, Spirit Sponge.
It's all right. It'll go away. It won't last there forever.
Nothing lasts forever. Not even me.
Forever.
Not even this guy.
So since you're horrible at promoting yourself, but if anyone is interested, your boy Scotty is going to be at the Haunted Shanley Hotel December 6th and 7th with Dalen from the Ghost Brothers. So if you want to pop that trunk and look for some ghosts, go to the HauntedShanleyHotel.com website. And dates, rooms are still available for both Friday and Saturday. If you don't want to stay overnight, you can opt to just get the tickets for the gallery read and the meet and greet.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Do you have that written down, or you just got it?
I've got it memorized.
Perfect. You're hired. All right, Therese, what's up?
Can you hear me okay?
I sure can.
Hi, Scotty. Nice to talk at you. So I have been waiting to share this story with a real paranormal investigator, and I even reached out to a group. I sent an email to a Seattle paranormal group. So this happened, I don't know, probably about 7 or 8 years ago. My family went to my sister's wedding in Seattle, and we stayed at this very bizarre VRBO, so a rental house. It was just really weird. It was like 3 stories. And for those who watch like those home shows, it's like all this different kind of decor just threw up all over the house. It was a very bizarre setup. You can tell that they did like a bunch of renovations just to make it like a really big house. And that, the original house was really small. So as soon as I walked in the house, I felt just very agitated, and as an empath, and I have intuitive gifts, that there was just something that did not feel good about this house, and I couldn't put my finger on it. I felt agitated, I physically had a reaction to it, and I thought, okay, maybe I'm just tired, blah, 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 all that stuff. So fast forward to that night, and so they had 3 floors, so I'm like, okay, I'll go sleep on the 3rd floor, and it was just my mom and a sister and I, and the rest of my family was coming in the next night. So I took all my crystals with me because I'm like, I just feel off. And even like before I went up to that 3rd floor, I just did like a house blessing and just said, whatever I'm feeling, please protect my family. So I did kind of like a protection and a blessing. I went up there. I could not fall asleep. I felt like there was like a window to the left of me, and I felt like someone was watching me. And I normally don't get scared. Like when I get, vibes and I, feel something, I'm like, okay, I'm fine. I don't get scared. But there was just something really trippy feeling about it, and I did not have a good feeling. It was almost, and you'll understand this, Scotty, as a law enforcement officer, I really felt like it was a peeping Tom. Like literally, I felt like there was a person looking in the window. So that's what, like, it freaked me out that bad. So I went downstairs and I kind of actually looked around the doors. I kind of did I kind of cased the house myself just to check it out. And so I was so freaked out that I like slept in a room next to my mom, because I'm like, I just need to be closer, to other people. So then fast forward the next night, and my brother, who is a law enforcement officer, because I was so freaked out, I told him that I was just getting these really weird feelings. And he's like, of course. He's like, okay, I'll go check all the doors, just look around the property just to make sure, like, was someone like looking around? Is that what I was picking up, like actual human person? Right. And he looked around, he said, everything looks fine, nothing, no, footprints or anything. And so it just kind of escalated from there. And I just got in arguments with and it wasn't me. Like there's just this feeling that I just felt like being in the house. Like when I was outside of the house, I was fine because we were doing all the wedding activity, but I got in, arguments with family members. I felt agitated. I could not go up to that third floor. My nephew said something really bizarre when we were like, and it freaked me out. Like we were up on the top floor and he's like, oh, if you jumped off of that, you would die. And like, that's not like something that he would say. And he was young. I mean, he was like 7 or 8 years old. I'm like, don't say that. That like was freaking me out. So I'll fast forward to everything that happened. So my sister-in-law got really sick. She actually had to leave the wedding reception, and like it just came out of the blue. She felt really sick. My nephew ended up getting like really sick. He ended up with this like really bad cold and high fever, like at the end. And they were staying in like a downstairs, like an apartment basement, because it was 3 floors. And so it was like, there was a couple of families staying down there, my brothers and my brothers and their families. And so because I thought the house was so bizarre, as a joke, I actually videotaped the house and, just on my phone. This was, like old iPhone, 7 or 8 years ago. Mm-hmm. And I was pointing out all these things to my friend, who ironically is a medium. And so this is even more interesting. So the wedding's over, we go home. I never even look at the video until I get home, and it freaked me out because everything that I was feeling, and I'd also had said, this is another important part of like the blessing and the protection I did. I said, whatever is here and this property around this house, I said, please do not bother my family and please stay outside of the house. Well, they listened to me and I actually have photos and part of the video posted in Discord if anyone wants to go look at that. And in that bottom floor, there was like figures. They actually looked like actual people. There was one lady that she kind of looked like she had a bonnet on. The other one that was really trippy, that was really prominent, was this older woman that was kind of hunched over, and the driveway was pretty steep on the side. And when I was filming, I know for certain no one was outside. It was at dusk. And because everyone was upstairs and, everyone was, doing like pre-wedding activity. And I was the only one downstairs on that bottom floor. And so I got all these apparitions in the window. And this woman, it looked like an actual woman that was hunched over, like bent over. And she was walking, up the driveway. And I did, when I got back home, and like, I even showed my brother, who is in law enforcement and very skeptical, and he couldn't even believe, what he saw. And he's like, do you think that maybe that could have been some of the energy of what was making, everyone sick? I said, I don't know if it was that, but I mean, it could have been, but just the energy that I felt, was, just so heavy. And literally that's why I was freaking out, because I'm like, oh my gosh, I was on that top floor and I literally felt like someone was looking in the window, and they were, because they were outside the window and they were looking, they were looking through the glass, looking into that downstairs apartment. So I did do a little history. I couldn't find a lot in the history, but the original home in Seattle has tons of paranormal activity. And I was in a part of Seattle called West Seattle. And I did a little bit of digging around when I came back to California. And the house, the only thing I could figure out was the house was built in 1920. So it obviously probably had, multiple renovations. I couldn't figure out, who had owned it. But I'm thinking it either were people connected to the property or, the land, because, Seattle, it could have gone back to maritime.
So
are you getting something?
Yeah, so I'm gonna here's for everybody to just get a little freaked out.
Oh, great. Thanks, Scotty.
Well, you're welcome. So being a paranormal investigator, I've been to a lot of properties. I've heard claims like the ones that you're talking about. Mm-hmm. And the last one that I was at that was similar to what you're talking about, it was an old home. It was built in the late 1800s, early 1900s. We really couldn't put our finger on exactly when, because it had been built and then partially knocked down and then rebuilt, and then the usual stuff, just adding on. So it was tough to nail down. But the people inside the house would all claim the same thing. They would be people are watching us from inside the windows. Nobody feels comfortable. We go into certain rooms. Sometimes we feel like we're completely fine and nobody bats an eye. And sometimes we go in there and we're very nauseous and we can't figure out why this keeps happening in all of these different spaces and different times. And they would capture really cool anomalies and things that they couldn't quite put their finger on. And when I sat in that house for a while, what was happening and was very odd was that the longer I sat still and listened, the more dead I was able to perceive, they were attracted to this space, and they were all coming.
Wow.
And they were all looking in the window to see what was happening inside. I don't think it had so much to do with what the house did for people when they were alive, but I do believe that there was at least one or two people that had lived in this home that were purposefully calling the dead, and not in the way that I do it, where I am we're going to have a chat and then you're going home. More they were trying to harness the energy of the dead people, in some kind of weird Hollywood movie. For anybody who doesn't know, there is a dark side to all of this stuff. I don't practice it. I'm not interested in it. I just want to talk to your loved ones and pass happy messages. But being that I do the paranormal, it's important for me to understand both sides. And there are people who are not nice, and they will call on the dead, or sometimes they don't know what they're doing, and they call the dead and they forgot to turn the light off.
No, that makes sense, because it's a VRBO, so I don't know who stayed there before we stayed there. I don't know who lived around there, because they were surrounded. It was in a neighborhood, so I don't know. I don't know if people were unalived in that area. I don't know, what the energy of the other properties. I don't know, what happened. Could it have been a burial ground or a cemetery from years and years ago? Because there has, Washington State has a big, maritime, history. So there is, there is native land, Native American land all around there. So it could have been, but it was just that. I mean, I've had a lot. That's just one of many paranormal experiences, but that was the trippiest one, because it was with other family, and some are very skeptical. My mom, not. She's very open. She has intuitive gifts herself, but it's interesting because my sister-in-law, the one that got sick, she's not so much a believer, I would say, but she's a very sensitive person. I would say she's empathic. She's actually a nurse, so I feel like maybe that's why she was affected. And then my nephew that was affected, I think, he was very young at the time. I mean, he was a toddler. So, and kids I know are a little more you know, they could be a little more vulnerable, open, a little more vulnerable to that. But yeah, it was so weird. I was like, oh, I'm glad I didn't see that video when I was actually there in the house. It's probably better that I saw it. But I mean, I've gone through, so yeah, and if anyone was on Discord wants to go through and look at that, because you may be able to see, you know, you may be able to pick out like more, you know, faces and stuff that I have. It's not the greatest, you know, it's not the greatest. A lot of them were like screenshots of like the video, but I think I did post a snippet of the video. So yeah, that was a very trippy, freaky experience. Glad I took my crystals with me.
Yeah,
I usually take those on my trip, but like that they listened to me though, because they didn't come into the house, but the energy was still there.
Oh, well, that was the other part of it is, a lot of times if other people have been feeling things in there, believe it or not, you know, you don't know also on the other side who's come through already and blessed the house or who's already come up.
True.
Like when I went on vacation to Florida this summer and I was in that house and all kinds of weird shit started happening and I was like, nope, I'm on vacation. And I went around the property and I was just like, you're staying all out here. You're not going to bother me. I don't want to be bothered. Right. And I just had to put up my own little perimeter. So who knows, right now, there could be a family in Florida right now at that house being like, it's the weirdest thing. We keep seeing all these crazy shadows on the perimeter of this house. Who knows?
That's true. Yeah, maybe I helped like just keep them out. I mean, and I kind of did after I left. I'm like, just stay, you know, just stay out. And it's funny because my uncle stayed at in the very top of the room. Because I asked him, how'd you sleep? Oh, I slept fine. So he didn't feel anything.
Yep, some people just don't even know the difference.
Yep. So anyways, that's my freaky VRBO story from Seattle.
Thank you very much for sharing that. I appreciate it.
Thanks. It was nice chatting with you. Nice to talk to you
Thanks for telling the
live.
story. I appreciate it.
Thanks,
Have a great rest of your
everyone.
night.
You too. Thanks. Bye.
Bye. All right, Spirit Sponge, scare me.
All right.
We
Well,
got 5 minutes. I gotta go to work. Let's go.
all right. Oh, wait. Okay. Let me share a Shanley story with you.
You'll probably scare everybody else besides me. Go ahead.
So I was there. I was at the Shanley in April. I was there for a weekend event. Scott was there. This was the second night. I was completely spent. I couldn't keep my eyes open past 12:30, and that's normally not like me. Normally I'm up all night. But as I was laying in bed, it sounded like a herd of elephants were coming up the stairs, and there were, I don't know, 2 or 3 conversations going on at once. And the room that I was staying at was literally like the staircase was like right outside the door. So I'm laying in bed and I'm like, why are people being so loud right now? Like, what is going on? And I thought at first that the groups were swapping. And people were coming downstairs from the 3rd floor and people from the 1st floor were going up. But then I hear you go, hello? Because you're like, why are people being so loud? And then as soon as you say hello, it just stops immediately.
That makes sense.
And I was just like, okay, that was weird. Okay.
Yeah, so that's a pretty common occurrence at the Shanley Hotel. I've been in there where it's been
I've
like,
ever experienced something like that, where I've heard that much commotion.
yeah, I've been there. It's been dead quiet. I'll be on the 3rd floor, and it'll sound like somebody's moving furniture, and you'll like lean over the banister and be like, "Hello," and it just stops, and there's nobody there. It's very common.
And then the first time that I saw Spirit, I was babysitting my friend's son, and he was asleep and in bed, and the phone that she had at the time, the landline that she had at the time, you had to go through the one door that connected into the part of the house that they didn't use anymore. And it used to be offices, but it used to be a home, which I think was built. I don't remember the exact year that it was built, but you had to go through the door and up the stairs to use the phone. So, and you could hear the phone ringing from there. So I left that part of the house, went upstairs, went to go answer the phone. And as I'm talking on the phone, I see this little boy standing in front of the window, looking out the window. And I'm like, Mike, what are you doing out of bed? Doesn't answer me, doesn't respond to me, nothing. And I'm like, little Mike, you need to go back to bed. And I happened to be on the phone with his mom at the time, and she's like, he's out of bed? I said, yeah, he's standing in front of me, completely ignoring me, which is not like him. Normally he would have gotten some sort of response out of him. And she said, all right, well, I'll let you go. I'm going to be home in 5 minutes anyway, so get him in bed. And I said, all right, cool. And as I hung up the phone and I look up, he was still there, but I actually focused on him more and noticed that he was wearing a white long sleeve shirt, gray pants, suspenders, and like the cap, I don't know, like a Newsies cap. Yep. And again, was not facing me, but just was staring out the window. And I was like, little Mike, what are you wearing? And as soon as I approach him, I trip over something. So I look down and I look back up and he's gone.
Oh, wow.
And I'm like, okay. And then chills like ran through my entire body. And I was like, that was weird.
That do be happening with ghosts.
I was like, there's no way he moved that quickly. I literally looked down for a second. And so I go back downstairs and he's sound asleep in his bed. So come to find out from my friend, that was a little boy that lived there. His father was a captain in the Army.
Okay.
His father was out serving, in the Army serving war. I forget which war it was. But he passed along with the grandmother from some sort of disease, whatever disease was prominent during that time on the East Coast. And he returns home from war and finds out that his father and his mother have both passed, and he unalives himself.
Oh my gosh.
In the attic of the house.
That's so sad.
And that house actually got demolished. And during the demolition of the house, they found gold coins hidden in the walls of that part of the house.
That's wild. Imagine if you started punching holes in that wall because you were scared of the ghost and found gold coins.
Yeah. I mean, it made the paper and everything, and we're like, we didn't know there were gold coins in that house. I said, I would have gone in there and ripped that whole wall off.
Of course, right?
But
hey, Brent, real quick,
that was the first time that I saw
Brent,
spirit.
I see your question, buddy. We'll go live and do this again during the weekend, and you can tell me your story then. That was a really cool story. I wonder if the correlation of like you seeing the boy and the coins or something, or if it was just a coincidence. But that's really interesting. We have a house that I investigated. I can tell whole crazy stories about it. It was like 1 or 2 days of like insanity. But one of the claims in the house is the house stands next door to one of the schools in our town. Mm-hmm. And little kids would talk about seeing a little boy up in the 3rd floor, up basically in the attic space. And what the little kids didn't know, and they couldn't have known because they didn't have access or don't have access to this sort of information, is that in that house, I believe like a 6 or 7 year old, I know this happened, I just don't know the age. I think he was 6 or 7, fell down a set of steps from the 2nd floor to the 1st floor. And at the bottom of the steps, there's a cast iron radiator, and he banged his head on it. And he passed away from the injury. So what they couldn't have known is that part, because it happened in the early 1900s, and they see the little boy up in the attic, waving to them as they go to school. And then the other part of that is in that same house, an electrician came to fix some wiring up in that attic. Mm-hmm. He put like a light fixture up and put it up in the attic for the homeowner. And this is kind of what started the whole ghost thing for me to investigate their house. Is the electrician went up there, he fixed it. He told the homeowner he had the creeps the whole time. He's like, I'm up in attics all the time. Your house is creepy. So he comes down and he's like leaving. He opens up the door, and as he's leaving, a lampshade hits him. And it's the same lampshade that he just put up on the light fixture in the attic, on the 3rd floor in the attic. God bless you. So then a whole bunch of other crazy crap started happening. But that's it. Everybody did a really good job. Telling ghost stories. So for the rest of you throughout spooky season as it goes on, I'm going to do some more of this, of course. I really like hearing your ghost stories. If you scare me, hey, if you legitimately scare me, if you just make me want to turn off the live because your story is so crazy and scary, I may just give you a gift. So definitely think about it. Think about how to tell me the story, and
I have another story about the captain, but that'll be for another time.
All right.
I might actually be able to scare you with that one.
Okay, we will see. I've seen a lot of stuff. Does it have to be real? Yeah, it has to be real. I'm not afraid of no ghost. I ain't afraid of no ghost story. It's gotta have to be a real story. Something that happened. So with that, I will see you all tomorrow. And this weekend, we'll do a makeup of the sub-only live that we couldn't do today just because potato brain. Anytime I bring my mediumship to all of you, I want to make sure I bring 100% of it. And
I don't think we did our weekly affirmation this week.
I know. It was a bad week all around for us. For me, anyway. Perhaps one of these days I might have to, when I can't make weekly affirmations, I might have to let one of my mods do it for us. So that way we don't miss stuff. But in the meantime, we'll work on that stuff. Jennifer Potato. Exactly. All right, everybody. It's okay. It's life, man. It's family stuff. Being the gifted one comes with a lot of pressure sometimes. Pressure I didn't ask for, but here we are. I do have to go. Thanks, Jen. Thanks, Spirits Bunch, for being here with us. Moderators, thanks for keeping it. Thanks, everybody who was brave enough to come on and tell me a story. You did a great job. If I didn't get to you tonight, just keep requesting. I can see people who haven't been on yet and people who have been guests. Moderators, thank you. And I will see you all tomorrow. Now, you didn't fill the donut tonight. Maybe tomorrow. We'll see. All right. Have a great night, everybody. Thanks again. I appreciate you. Be good. Bye, everyone.